Deep in the mountains, where the wind whispers ancient truths and the rivers reflect the calm of the sky, lived an elderly man named Daichi. His days passed in the simplicity of life. He woke with the dawn, meditated beside a blooming cherry tree, and tended to his small garden with the patience of one who understands the rhythm of the universe. One day, a young man named Ren climbed up to his hut. In his eyes, there was the restlessness of one who seeks something without knowing exactly what it is. "Master Daichi," he said, bowing his head, "I have traveled great distances to find you. They told me I would find the key to success in life here." Daichi smiled with the gentleness of dawn. "Success," he murmured. "Tell me, young one, if your heart is filled with storms, can you see the sky reflected in the water?" Ren frowned. "No, master, the water must be calm." The elder nodded. "Then why seek the external before finding calm within yourself?" Ren lowered his gaze, not knowing what to respond. "But master, the world demands results, achievements, wealth. How can I find peace when there is so much to attain?" Daichi rose serenely and approached a nearby pond. He pointed to its clear surface and then threw a stone into the water. The ripples spread in circles, distorting the reflection of the sky. "Observe, Ren. When the water is calm, it can reflect the sky clearly. But when something disturbs it, its reflection is lost. Such is the human soul. If your inner being is in constant agitation, you will never see the truth clearly or attain true fulfillment." Ren watched the ripples until they gradually disappeared. "Then, master, should I give up my dreams?" Daichi smiled tenderly. "It's not about giving up, but understanding that the true foundation of every achievement is inner peace. Before seeking outward, learn to still your heart." Ren reflected on the master's words, but his impatience still troubled him. "Master, if inner peace is the key, how can I achieve it? My mind never stops thinking, worrying, longing for what I do not yet have." Daichi went to his hut and returned with a steaming cup of tea. He placed it before Ren and said, "Serve yourself some tea." Ren took the teapot and began pouring the liquid into the cup. When the tea reached the brim, Daichi did not indicate for him to stop, and the tea began to spill over. "Master, it's overflowing," Ren exclaimed, quickly setting down the teapot. Daichi nodded. "Such is your mind, filled with thoughts, worries, desires. You cannot fill it with peace if it is already overflowing with unrest. First, you must empty the cup." Ren looked at the wet table and then at the master. He understood that peace was not something to acquire, but something that arose when he made space for it. He sighed deeply and closed his eyes, trying for the first time in a long while not to cling to his thoughts. Silence settled between them. Ren breathed deeply and tried to release the tension building in his chest. After a moment, he opened his eyes and said, "Master, I understand I must empty my mind, but I don't know how to do it. Every time I try to stop thinking, my thoughts return with more force." Daichi nodded and took a dry leaf from the ground. He held it between his fingers and let it fall through the air. They both watched it float gently until it touched the ground. "Ren, observe the leaf. It does not fight the wind, it does not try to control it. It simply falls, accepting the natural flow of existence. Your mind is like the wind. Do not try to force silence. Simply observe it. Do not cling to thoughts or reject them. Let them pass." Ren furrowed his brow, but then closed his eyes again. This time, instead of fighting his thoughts, he allowed them to appear and disappear without judging them. Gradually, he felt a strange relief, as if an invisible weight began to dissipate. The elder watched Ren in silence, allowing the young man to experience for himself the sensation of letting go. After a few minutes, Ren opened his eyes and exhaled slowly. Master, for a moment I felt a strange calm, but then my mind filled with thoughts again. Is this normal? Daichi smiled kindly. Of course, the mind is like the sky, sometimes clear, sometimes cloudy. Peace is not the absence of thoughts, but the ability to see them come and go without getting lost in them. Ren nodded, feeling that something within him was beginning to change. Ren remained silent, feeling the warmth of the sun on his skin and the coolness of the air around him. The feeling of calm was new to him, but also fleeting. So, Master, he asked softly, will the mind never be completely silent? Daichi looked at the sky, where the clouds floated slowly, moving without hurry. The mind is not something you must struggle to silence, Ren. The clouds will always be in the sky, but the sky itself remains vast and endless. You cannot control the clouds, but you can learn to observe them without being caught by them. Ren reflected on the elder's words, watching the clouds change shape before him. So, the key is not to cling to thoughts? Exactly, replied Daichi. Instead of clinging, simply observe. Let the thoughts come and go like the clouds. Do not identify with them. You are not your thoughts. You are the space that observes them. Ren sat in silence, deep in reflection. The master's words began to sink into his heart, and for the first time in his life, he felt a sense of lightness, as if his thoughts no longer weighed so heavily on him. They continued walking until they reached an ancient wooden bridge that crossed the stream. Daichi stopped and gently touched the railing. This bridge does not worry about the current beneath it. It does not cling to the water. It simply allows it to pass. He looked at Ren and added, you must learn to be like this bridge. Observe your thoughts and emotions, but do not cling to them. Ren rested his hands on the railing and watched the water flow. For the first time, he felt that the answers he was seeking were not in the future, but in the present. The wind blew softly, and Ren closed his eyes, surrendering to the moment. After a long silence, Daichi spoke again. Ren, life is not a fixed destination that you reach after a series of achievements. It is a path that is walked with each step we take, and each step has its own value. Ren listened attentively, but there was still something he didn't fully understand. How can I know if I'm on the right path, Master? Sometimes I feel like everything I do isn't enough, that there is always more to attain. Daichi smiled gently, as if he knew exactly what the young man was feeling. The right path is not always the fastest or the clearest, but it is always the one that keeps you in harmony with your inner self. Remember, like this bridge, you must allow life to flow. Do not cling to the future or to the achievements you have not yet attained. The peace you seek is not in what you get, but in how you surrender to the moment. Ren closed his eyes and allowed himself to feel the wind brushing his face, the softness of the sun on his skin, the whisper of the leaves moved by the breeze. For a moment, all that mattered was that present moment, that deep connection with the flow of life. When he opened his eyes, Daichi was looking at him intently, with a gaze full of understanding. Now you see, said the elder. Life does not demand that you conquer the world, only that you find peace in your heart. Ren nodded slowly, finally understanding that the key was not in reaching something external, but in cultivating peace within himself. Thank you, Master, he whispered, with deep gratitude in his voice. As the days passed, Ren stayed with the elder, learning to live in accordance with the rhythm of the universe. As his mind calmed, he began to see the world more clearly. The desires and anxieties that had once chased him began to fade away, and in their place arose a sense of gratitude for every small moment, for each step taken on the path. Finally, Ren understood what Daichi had taught him. True success is not about reaching some destination, but about living in harmony with the flow of life, accepting each moment as it is, without clinging to or rejecting it. And so, In the peace of the mountains, Ren found the serenity he had been seeking, not outside of himself, but within his own heart.